Have you ever truly stopped to consider, really think about the immense challenge of transforming a society,
Mm.
especially one fractured by, deep-seated divisions, turning that into a vibrant, truly unified community?
It's a huge task, isn't it?
It really is.
Hmm.
What are those bedrock principles, those sort of profound leadership insights that can actually bridge ancient feuds, transcend these, well, seemingly insurmountable differences, and forge a powerful collective identity from just a mosaic of disparate groups?
Yeah, that's the core question.
It's a question that resonates through every era, really.
Yeah.
Whether you're pondering a nation grappling with internal strife, or maybe a city striving for harmony, or even a smaller organization just trying to coalesce its diverse talents. It applies everywhere. Well, today we're not just discussing it abstractly. We're actually embarking on a truly fascinating deep dive. We're looking into a pivotal historical moment that offers some incredibly profound and, frankly, surprisingly practical answers to these very questions. We've gathered some truly compelling sources, really fascinating stuff, that shed a brilliant light on the establishment of the early Muslim community in Medina. We'll explore how Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, managed to unite this incredibly diverse populace, laying down foundational principles that, well, they continue to echo across centuries and cultures. They provide a powerful blueprint for building just and cohesive societies.
Exactly. This isn't merely history. It's almost like a living guide.
It feels like it.
And our mission with this deep dive really is to peel back the layers of this historical moment. We want to uncover several core questions that get right to the very heart of what it means to build a truly just and harmonious society.
Okay.
So we'll meticulously examine how a society, one which was previously just deeply fractured by centuries of entrenched rivalries, tribal animosities, economic tensions, how it was painstakingly transformed into a cohesive, united community.
Right, from fragmentation to unity.
Precisely. We'll scrutinize the innovative and, let's be honest, often radical leadership principles that guided the drafting of the Constitution of Madinah. This is a document many scholars now recognize as arguably the very first written social contract in human history.
The first.
Arguably, yes, predating many similar Western concepts by centuries, which is quite remarkable. And perhaps most crucially for our contemporary world, we'll deeply explore how that powerful, almost revolutionary concept of brotherhood, or ukhuwwah, didn't just facilitate this transformation,
Right.
but it continues to serve as an indispensable cornerstone for societies striving for justice, equity, and harmony, even amidst the complexities of our, well, hyper-connected modern world.
So it's still relevant.
It's a testament, really, to the enduring universal power of these foundational ideas that they remain so relevant today.
Absolutely. And as we navigate this remarkable historical blueprint, I really invite you, our listener, to consciously draw parallels. Consider the challenges of unity and cohesion in your own communities, maybe your workplaces or even within your families. Think about the divides you observe, the inherent need for common ground, and maybe how these ancient principles, meticulously applied, might offer a fresh, perhaps actionable perspective on fostering greater understanding and cooperation today. So let's truly unpack this monumental moment in history. So where do we begin? Our story doesn't start with triumph, does it? It begins, really, with a profound moment of desperate transition. Resilience, too.
That's right. It starts with hardship.
Imagine, if you will, this small, nascent community of believers facing years, over a decade of intense persecution, relentless hostility, unimaginable adversity in their homeland of Makkah.
Yeah, Makkah was tough.
Prophet Muhammad and his followers, the early Muslims, they endured severe challenges there. Their message of monotheism, one God, and its inherent call for social justice, for equality.
Equality before their creator.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was perceived as a direct, almost existential threat to the established order, the deeply entrenched tribal loyalties, and of course the powerful economic interests of Makkah's elite.
It challenged everything.
We're talking about a period of just relentless suffering. They faced widespread boycotts that literally starved families, public ridicule, physical assaults, social ostracization that broke family bonds,
Awful.
and even outright attempts on the Prophet's life. It was a period of sheer survival. Every single day was a grueling test of faith, resilience, and just sheer endurance. They were pushed to their absolute limits, forced to conceal their beliefs sometimes, endure public humiliation, witness the suffering, even the death of their most vulnerable members.
It wasn't just discomfort.
No, not at all. This wasn't occasional harassment. It was systemic, an organized campaign to dismantle their burgeoning community. Eventually, the situation became utterly untenable. Migration, the hijra, wasn't just an option. It became an absolute necessity for their very existence
A desperate bid for survival.
and the preservation of their faith.
That's a critical point. And this arduous migration from Makkah, the Hijra as it's known, led them about 200 miles north to the oasis city of Yathrib,
Yathrib, right.
which would soon be gloriously renamed Madinatun Nabi, the city of the prophet, or Medina for short.
Medina, okay.
And what's truly remarkable, almost miraculous really, is the reception they received there, particularly from the local inhabitants who wholeheartedly embraced them. They became known as the Ansār.
The helpers.
Exactly, the helpers. And this wasn't just a warm welcome, it was pivotal, a transformational moment. It signaled this dramatic, almost unimaginable shift from relentless existential persecution to, well, to a profound and unconditional embrace.
Such a contrast.
It really was. The Ansar had been hearing whispers of Prophet Muhammad and his powerful message for some time. They saw in him not just a spiritual leader, but potentially a unifier.
Someone who could bring peace.
Exactly. Someone who could bring desperately needed peace and order to their own city, which had been plagued by vicious internal tribal feuds for generations between the Aus and Khazraj tribes.
Right, those famous feuds.
These feuds had literally bled their city dry, left it exhausted, ripe for a new kind of leadership.
So they were ready for change.
They were ready. So when the Muhājirun, the migrants from Makkah, arrived often with nothing but the clothes on their backs and, hope in their hearts, the Ansar didn't just offer them a safe haven. They opened their homes, their hearts, their livelihoods with this extraordinary, almost unparalleled display of generosity, selflessness, solidarity.
It's hard to fathom that level of welcome.
It really is.
Right.
And this reception wasn't just some ad hoc charity. It was deeply strategic, spiritually motivated, and institutionally reinforced. A conscious, collective decision to share resources, homes, farms, protection
Everything.
with these beleaguered strangers, laying the fundamental groundwork for a truly integrated, interdependent, harmonious society from its very inception. It was an investment in a shared future, not just temporary relief.
It's an absolutely stark and dramatic contrast, isn't it? From that period of sheer grinding survival in Makkah, fighting for every breath, every belief, suddenly the community found itself with this ambitious yet exhilarating task, building a structured, cohesive society in Medina.
A huge undertaking.
It wasn't merely about finding a new place to live or escaping persecution. It was about nothing less than constructing a fully functioning, just, harmonious community from the ground up.
And importantly, not on a blank slate.
No, exactly. Medina was already a complex city, rich with its own diverse population, established tribal hierarchies, deeply entrenched power dynamics. They had to weave this new thread into an existing, sometimes quite tattered, tapestry.
And this relocation, it wasn't just a physical move, was it, of bodies and belongings? It was, as you rightly put it, a strategic first step toward renewal.
A fresh start.
Imagine being handed a receptive environment, an eager, welcoming populace after enduring years of relentless oppression and hostility.
Must have felt like a miracle.
It presented an unparalleled, truly unique opportunity to build from the ground up. Free from the old constraints, the established animosities, the entrenched, actively hostile power structures that had so aggressively resisted their message back in Makkah.
So a chance to actually implement their ideals.
Precisely. It was a blank canvas in many ways, an opportunity to put their principles, their entire worldview into practice without external interference, without that constant threat of violence or sabotage.
Right.
Think of it maybe like a highly innovative startup company. After struggling desperately in a hostile, overregulated, aggressively competitive market, it suddenly finds a new, supportive ecosystem. And in this new environment, it can truly innovate, scale, thrive, unburdened by past failures, restrictive regulations, or adversarial competitors.
That's a good analogy.
Or maybe consider a community devastated by a natural disaster. The act of rebuilding offers not just a chance to reconstruct, but a profound opportunity to redesign infrastructure, strengthen social bonds, maybe implement more resilient, equitable systems than existed before.
So redefining what's possible.
Exactly. It was, in essence, a chance to truly redefine what was possible for a human society.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. And frankly, truly radical in terms of societal transformation. One of the most remarkable and arguably revolutionary acts of nation-building ever witnessed was this deliberate, deeply intentional forging of brotherhood, ukhuwwah, Prophet Muhammad initiated a pairing system that was not just revolutionary for its time, but, I mean, it remains astonishing in its implications even today.
Absolutely.
This wasn't just a friendly handshake or a casual introduction, was it? It was something much deeper.
Oh, far more profound. And systematic. You're absolutely right. The Prophet literally paired each muhajir, each migrant who'd arrived in Medina, often with nothing.
Right. Nothing but the clothes on their back.
Exactly. Having forsaken homes, wealth, often family in Makkah, paired them with an Ansari, a host from Medina.
One-on-one.
One-on-one. And this was not a temporary arrangement, not a casual acquaintance, not even just a warm welcome. It was a deep, personal, and legally recognized bond. It effectively transformed strangers into immediate family.
Immediate family, wow.
The Ansari committed to taking the Muhajir into their home, sharing their life, treating them as immediate kin, almost like a blood brother.
So, beyond just hospitality.
Way beyond. It was an institutionalized, divinely inspired form of social, economic, and emotional integration. Designed to address immediate survival needs, yes, but simultaneously forging those unbreakable community bonds, the bedrock of the new society.
Mm-hmm.
The Muhajir, who'd left behind all their wealth, land, businesses in Makkah, found an immediate anchor, a brother, in Medina. This prevented the emergence of a marginalized, impoverished class of refugees right from the start.
And the practical implications of this brotherhood were, well, truly astounding, weren't they? Pushing far, far beyond any symbolic gesture we might recognize today.
Absolutely staggering.
We're talking about a level of commitment and generosity that frankly challenges our modern understanding of community support, charity, even altruism.
Absolutely. And this is where the ukhuwwah truly distinguishes itself. The Ansaris literally shared half their wealth. Half. Their homes, even their businesses, with their Muhajir counterparts. I mean, think about that for a moment. If an Ansari owned 2 date palm orchards, he would unequivocally offer one, fully half, to his Muhajir brother.
That's incredible.
If he had 2 houses, he'd offer one as a permanent dwelling. This wasn't temporary charity. It was an economic and social merger, a complete integration of lives and livelihoods. In the early stages, it even had legal implications regarding inheritance.
Wow.
The Ansar understood instinctively, it seems, that for this nascent community to succeed, the Muhajirun needed more than just food and temporary shelter. They needed a stake in the society, a true sense of belonging, the tangible means to rebuild their lives and contribute economically.
So it's about empowerment, too.
Exactly. This act effectively and quite radically redistributed wealth and resources. It ensured no one was left destitute, that the economic burden of the migration was shared equitably across the new society, and that the new arrivals could regain their dignity and become self-sufficient.
A tangible expression of solidarity.
Unparalleled, rooted in a deep spiritual conviction.
So the Ansari became essentially a complete family unit, offering shelter, sustenance, and crucially, that ironclad layer of protection to their Muhajir counterpart, who had often arrived with absolutely nothing.
Nothing but their lives sometimes.
Yeah. So this wasn't just providing a roof over their heads. It was providing a complete social safety net, profound emotional support, a vital sense of security in an unfamiliar, potentially hostile land.
Everything they needed.
It meant the Muhajirun were instantly integrated, socially, economically, politically, right into the fabric of Medina. This deep-seated, institutionalized commitment must have helped prevent social stratification, diffuse potential resentment between hosts and migrants, and critically prevented the creation of a disenfranchised underclass.
It solidified everything.
It truly solidified and interwove the new social fabric right from its foundation.
The core lesson here is immense, and it really speaks volumes about the foundations of human society. This radical act of shared responsibility, profound sacrifice, genuine empathy, it became the absolute bedrock of true community.
Not just friendship, but family.
Exactly. It didn't just transform strangers into friends or acquaintances, it transformed them into an extended, interdependent family. Bound by mutual obligation, genuine affection, a shared vision, it provided that immediate, comprehensive social safety net, yes.
But more than that.
But more significantly, it cultivated a deeply ingrained culture of selfless giving, collective welfare, profound compassion that permeated every single aspect of this nascent society.
Wow.
Without this foundation of ukhuwwah, these deeply woven human bonds, the subsequent political and legal structures, however brilliant they were,
Right, the Constitution.
they likely would have fractured under the weight of internal tensions or external pressures. It showed, unequivocally, that genuine unity, sustainable community, collective flourishing, it starts with empathy, radical generosity, and an unshakable willingness to share one's blessings for the benefit of all.
That's a truly powerful observation.
Mm-hmm.
What does this unparalleled level of commitment and generosity tell us about the foundations of a truly resilient and compassionate society? And honestly, what would it realistically take for our modern communities today to even begin to embrace such deep-seated shared responsibility beyond, the occasional charitable donation or sporadic volunteer work?
It's a huge question.
It really makes you pause and critically examine the true, profound meaning of community in our contemporary world. So with this radical social restructuring, the ukhuwwah firmly in place, forging those unbreakable human bonds, the next logical and equally revolutionary step was establishing a robust, formal, legal framework.
Yes, the structure.
This is precisely where the Constitution of Madinah comes into play.
Hmm.
A document that, as you said, many historians and legal scholars now recognize as maybe the first truly written social contract in human history.
It's an absolutely remarkable document, especially when you consider its time and context, emerging from the crucible of a desert society in the 7th century.
So credible context.
It truly is a groundbreaking document, compared to the prevalent tribal norms or the purely oral traditions of governance common across the Arabian Peninsula then.
Right, word of mouth, custom.
Having a written, codified constitution for a multi-ethnic, multi-religious state was utterly revolutionary. Before this, societal rules were largely based on ancestral customs, unwritten agreements passed down, intensely localized tribal loyalties.
Which led to conflict.
Almost invariably. Endless cycles of vengeance, retribution, intertribal conflict. The Constitution of Medina moved decisively, comprehensively, beyond kinship or bloodline as the sole or even primary basis of law and order.
A fundamental shift.
It introduced a formal, documented agreement, meticulously laying out explicit rights and responsibilities for all inhabitants, not just a dominant tribe, a specific religious group, or an aristocratic elite.
For everyone included.
Everyone. And this act of physically writing down the laws provided unprecedented clarity, drastically reduced ambiguity, established a framework for universal, impartial justice. It fundamentally altered the very nature of governance from arbitrary rule to rule of law.
Let's break down some of those core clauses then, because their implications sound far-reaching.
They really were. And they set a global precedent for centuries. Okay, firstly, it profoundly established Muslims as one ummah, one unified community.
Okay.
The details here are absolutely crucial. It created a new, overarching, transcendent identity for Muslims, explicitly and intentionally superseding those fragmented tribal affiliations that had historically been the primary, most destructive cause of conflict and disunity in Arabia.
So loyalty shifts from tribe to community.
Precisely. In pre-Islamic Arabia, your loyalty was first, foremost, almost exclusively to your tribe. This often meant unequivocally supporting tribal members, even if they were demonstrably in the wrong.
Which leads to feuds.
Endless bloody feuds, sometimes lasting generations. The Constitution declared unequivocally that Muslims, regardless of their original tribal lineage, Makkah, Medina, elsewhere, were now bound by a higher, divinely sanctioned loyalty to the collective ummah.
A new primary identity.
A powerful collective responsibility, an allegiance that superseded old, often divisive loyalties, laying the groundwork for a truly unified political entity and a profound sense of shared destiny.
Right.
It meant justice, mutual support, civic responsibility would henceforth be based on shared faith and citizenship within this new polity, rather than inherited, often conflict-ridden tribal bonds. This was nation-building at its most fundamental level.
Okay, what else? That's huge already.
Secondly, and remarkably progressive for its time, the Constitution included explicit, robust protection of religious freedom for Jews and other non-Muslim communities residing in Medina.
Protection for non-Muslims in the 7th century.
Explicitly, the document specifically stated that the Jews shall be maintained in their religion and their property, and that they would have the same rights and responsibilities as the Ansār, provided, of course, they adhered to the terms of the agreement and contributed to the common defense.
Wow, that is advanced.
It was a profoundly advanced stance for the 7th century, a period where religious intolerance, forced conversions, or the marginalization of minorities was often the brutal norm.
Right.
This wasn't about forced assimilation or conversion. It was about actively promoting pluralism, mutual respect, coexistence as a non-negotiable cornerstone of the new society.
So unity doesn't mean uniformity.
Exactly. It ensures that unity is not equated with uniformity. allowing diverse communities to not just coexist, but to thrive and maintain their distinct cultural and religious identities under a common, overarching framework of law and civic duty. It fundamentally established a principle of inclusive citizenship based on shared civic duties rather than religious conformity. A concept many modern states, frankly, still struggle to fully implement.
That's a fair point. Okay, third.
Thirdly, it instituted a justice system based unequivocally on fairness and impartiality, not on tribal might or favoritism.
Moving away from tribal vengeance.
Decisively, away from those destructive cycles where an injury to one tribe member would often result in collective retaliatory bloodshed against the entire offending tribe. Instead, it established a framework where justice was administered impartially, where the rule of law reigns supreme.
How did it do that?
It explicitly stated that no one should aid an oppressor or conspire against a fellow citizen, regardless of their tribal affiliation. All parties, Muslim, Jewish, other backgrounds, were now subject to the same laws and could expect fair treatment and due process under a centralized authority.
A level playing field.
A crucial, transformative step in building trust and long-term stability across that incredibly diverse population, signaling a clear departure from the arbitrary, biased, often brutal justice systems of the past. It ensured the rule of law, not tribal might or familial influence, would govern.
Okay, impartiality.
Yeah.
And there was a final arbiter.
Yes, and finally, Prophet Muhammad was established as the final arbiter in all disputes.
The ultimate authority.
The Constitution explicitly stipulated that any significant disputes or controversies that couldn't be resolved locally, particularly those arising among different signatory groups, the various Muslim factions, the Jewish tribes, other clans, should be referred directly to Prophet Muhammad for ultimate resolution.
So a clear appeals process.
Exactly. It established a central, highly respected, legitimate authority for dispute resolution, providing a clear, transparent mechanism for appeals and ensuring consistent application of the law across all communities party to the document.
That seems vital for order.
Absolutely vital for proactively preventing internal strife, maintaining social order, and robustly enforcing the Constitution's provisions in such a diverse and historically fragmented society. It ensured there was an ultimate court of appeal that commanded the moral and political respect necessary to keep the peace and guarantee fairness.
So when we analyze these core clauses, an overarching leadership principle really emerges, doesn't it? Something about resilience.
I think so.
It seems to be the critical importance of setting clear, inclusive laws and establishing robust systems proactively as a measure to prevent chaos and ensure long-term stability, rather than just reacting to crises when they happen.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's visionary leadership.
It feels like it. Not reactive, but forward-thinking nation building.
Absolutely. Instead of passively waiting for conflicts to erupt, for old tribal feuds to resurface, or for new tensions to simmer.
Which they inevitably would have.
Right. The Prophet Muhammad proactively designed the sophisticated legal and social architecture. It anticipated potential flashpoints and provided clear, institutionalized mechanisms for resolution and harmonious coexistence.
Building the framework first.
By establishing these explicit laws and integrated systems up front, he wasn't just managing day-to-day crises, he was fundamentally preventing them, building a resilient framework that could absorb diversity, tension, change without fracturing.
That's the key. Building something that lasts.
This proactive, preventative approach laid the groundwork for a truly enduring society, not one constantly teetering on the brink of collapse due to internal disagreements or external threats. It was about creating a robust, adaptable structure that could not only survive, but truly grow and thrive for generations. It shifted the whole paradigm from mere conflict management to actual peace building.
You know, you mentioned Medina wasn't a blank slate. Far from it. It was incredibly complex, multi-tribal, multi-religious, with this deeply ingrained, almost legendary history of internal conflict.
Very complex.
We're talking specifically about that brutal, generations-long feud between the two dominant Arab tribes, the Aus and the Khazraj. The War of Bu'ath, wasn't it?
The War of Bu'ath, yes. Devastating. It left the city exhausted, yearning for peace.
And on top of that, there were several influential Jewish tribes, the Banu Nadir, Banu Kanuqa, Banu Qurayza, each with their own intricate alliances, economic interests, historical relationships.
A real melting pot of potential conflict.
Exactly. So the pivotal question isn't just how a constitution was drafted, but how it effectively managed such explosive potential flashpoints. To not just contain conflict, but to actively create genuine, lasting peace and cooperation.
This is precisely where the genius of the Constitution of Medina becomes even more strikingly evident. It didn't just document existing norms, it fundamentally deliberately created a robust framework for enduring peace and proactive coexistence by actively addressing, indeed dismantling, these historical divisions.
Yeah.
Well, it superseded that fragmented, often arbitrary, always vengeful tribal justice system, the source of so much bloodshed, with a unified, overarching legal system designed to govern all inhabitants, regardless of origin, religion, or tribal affiliation.
So, law above tribe.
Explicitly. This meant the old tribal loyalties, which had fueled the Oz-Khazraj War for over a century, costing countless lives, were now explicitly subordinated to a higher civic loyalty enshrined within the Constitution itself.
A huge mental shift.
Revolutionary. Suddenly, disputes were no longer about tribal honor or inherited grudges. They were about adherence to a common law, impartially applied, with a central arbiter.
Okay, that deals with internal justice. What about external threats?
Good point. Furthermore, the Constitution included highly specific clauses for collective defense against any external threats. This was absolutely critical for forging a common identity.
Everyone defends the city together.
Exactly. It solidified the idea of a shared destiny, a collective responsibility among all signatories, Muslims, Jews, other groups who joined the compact. If Medina was attacked, everyone was obligated to defend it, regardless of their religious or tribal background.
So it forces cooperation.
Precisely. This transformed disparate groups, who might otherwise have focused solely on their own narrow interests or internal squabbles, into a single, united defense force with a common objective.
A shared purpose.
By giving them a common enemy, a deeply shared objective protecting their city, their homes, their livelihoods, it further cemented their unity and interdependence. This shared responsibility for security directly countered the internal divisions that had historically weakened Medina, forcing them to look outward and critically to cooperate inward, creating a sense of shared citizenship that transcended old fault lines. It was the ultimate test of their new unity. The profound reflection here, I think, and one that holds immense relevance today, is that true unity is not about everyone being the same. It's not about enforcing a suffocating conformity.
Because that doesn't usually end well.
No. That path often leads to suppression, resentment, eventual rebellion. Instead, genuine, resilient unity is about reaching a fundamental agreement on core principles.
Like justice.
Principles of justice, mutual respect, shared responsibility, collective defense. It's about creating a common framework, a civic space that allows for diversity to not just survive, but to truly flourish within it.
Embracing diversity within unity.
This Constitution didn't erase differences, it managed them, providing clear, actionable guidelines for how diverse communities could live together harmoniously, respect each other's beliefs, and collectively contribute to the common good of the wider society. It's a powerful historical model that acknowledges and embraces pluralism as a fundamental strength, rather than an inherent weakness, a lesson many modern societies are still grappling with.
That's an incredibly powerful distinction. Unity isn't uniformity. It's about a shared framework for respectful coexistence. And it raises an important, deeply resonant question for us today, doesn't it?
It does.
How challenging is it, even with all our modern tools, our understanding of psychology, sociology, for contemporary societies to achieve this delicate, intricate balance between fostering a sense of national or communal unity and respecting the incredibly diverse identities within them, ethnic, religious, political, socioeconomic, cultural.
It's incredibly difficult.
It feels like a challenge we're constantly grappling with, often with, well, limited success, it seems. So moving beyond the immediate social contracts, the brilliant management of historical conflicts, what did this foundational period in Medina ultimately teach us about building something that lasts? About creating institutions, structures, systems that endure far beyond the lifespan of any single charismatic leader or even any particular generation, providing that continuous stability and guidance.
This brings us to a truly crucial point, a cornerstone of sustainable societal development: institution building.
Okay, institutions.
While the Constitution was an abstract legal framework, the physical embodiment and living, breathing heart of this new society was the Masjid Nabawi, the Prophet's Mosque.
The mosque, right.
Which was among the very first structures built immediately after the migration. And this was not just a place of worship as we might primarily understand a mosque, church, or temple today.
More than just prayer.
Oh, much more. It was the veritable, multifunctional hub of the entire community, a dynamic center that served virtually every single aspect of nascent societal life.
Wow. Tell me more about that.
Think about the sheer breadth of its functions. Yes, it was undeniably the primary center for congregational worship, establishing the spiritual rhythm, the collective identity of the community, fostering that shared sense of purpose.
Okay, spiritual center.
But it was also the foremost center for learning and education. People gathered daily to discuss religious teachings, legal matters, ethical dilemmas, even poetry and current affairs.
A place of learning, too.
And it served as the central administration and governance building, effectively the parliament and judiciary, where state affairs were debated, crucial decisions made, emissaries from other tribes and states received, and the nascent government conducted its daily business.
Parliament, judiciary, all in one.
Pretty much. And crucially, it was also a vital center for social care and welfare. The poor and needy, particularly the Muhājirin still finding their footing, were often sheltered within its precincts. Issues of social justice, collecting alms, zakat, welfare distribution, all meticulously managed from its grounds.
Shelter, welfare. Incredible.
This incredibly integrated, holistic approach meant that spiritual, intellectual, political, social, economic needs were all addressed from a central, accessible, unifying institution. It physically manifested the very idea of ummah and the principles of the Constitution.
So it brought everything together in one place. What was the impact of that?
Extraordinarily effective, profoundly impactful. By centralizing these diverse functions, the Madinah Valley became a place where all members of society, regardless of social status, tribal origin, economic standing, could come together daily.
Fostering community.
An unparalleled sense of collective ownership, participation, shared responsibility. It democratized access to learning, to governance, to social support, blurring lines that might otherwise divide.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Imagine a muhajir who arrived destitute, finding shelter and sustenance within the mosque, learning alongside an Ansari, and then witnessing decisions being made that affected his very life. This fostered an immediate sense of belonging and agency.
Right, they're part of it.
It essentially created a visible, tangible symbol of the new social contract and the deep brotherhood it represented. A place where the ideals of the Constitution were actively lived out.
That makes sense.
And this brings us to a crucial, timeless leadership insight. Institutions outlast individuals.
Right. Systems over personalities.
Exactly. While Prophet Muhammad was an extraordinarily charismatic, gifted, divinely inspired leader, he understood profoundly that his most enduring legacy could not rely solely on his personal virtues or temporary inspiration.
He had to build something bigger.
He focused meticulously on building sustainable systems and robust structures. The Constitution, the ukhuwwah bonds, the Masjid Nabawi as a comprehensive community hub. These institutions were deliberately designed to carry forward the vision, the principles, the operational framework of the community long after his physical presence.
Planning for the future.
Effective, visionary leaders understand that their most enduring contribution isn't just the immediate impact they make or the passionate following they attract, but the resilient, adaptable frameworks they establish. Frameworks that can evolve and thrive across generations. They build a robust engine, not just a flashy car that runs on personal fuel.
A sustainable engine.
This ensures the vision lives on, even when its initial architects are no longer there to steer it.
That's a really powerful and critical distinction for leaders in any field today. What can modern leaders, whether they're heading a multinational corporation, a government agency, a startup, a community group, what can they learn from this ancient wisdom about creating resilient organizations and communities?
It's deeply relevant.
How can they build systems that aren't overly dependent on a single personality or a temporary surge of enthusiasm, but rather on well-designed, functional, enduring institutions?
Well, the parallels are striking.
What's truly fascinating here, and indeed deeply encouraging, is that this historical deep dive isn't just about ancient history, confined to dusty scrolls and forgotten times.
Not at all.
Its lessons echo profoundly and directly in our modern world, providing timeless insights into societal organization, ethical governance, empathetic leadership. These aren't just quaint historical footnotes. They are powerful, actionable blueprints for navigating and overcoming contemporary challenges. Proving that the human quest for justice and harmony remains constant.
Absolutely. When we meticulously examine the Constitution of Madinah, its core principles, religious freedom, impartial justice, collective communal responsibility can be unequivocally seen as early foundational blueprints. Prototypes, really.
Prototypes for modern ideas.
Yes, for many modern charters, universal human rights declarations, contemporary constitutional governance worldwide, think specifically about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
UDHR.
It passionately champions freedom of religion, non-discrimination based on belief, the equal dignity of all individuals. Or consider the very concept of a written national constitution, like the US or India.
Defining rights and duties.
Meticulously defining rights and duties of citizens regardless of background, rigorously establishing an impartial legal system with checks and balances. The Constitution of Madinah pioneered these very ideas, establishing a multi-religious, pluralistic state governed by explicit, agreed-upon laws rather than arbitrary tribal whims, a full 14 centuries ago.
14 centuries. Incredible.
It powerfully demonstrated that diversity, far from being a weakness, could be an immense strength if managed through inclusive, legally robust frameworks.
Okay, so the Constitution parallels modern charters. What about ukhuwwah?
Then there's that extraordinary spirit of brotherhood, ukhuwwah. Its radical emphasis on shared wealth, shared homes, collective protection. This is conceptually, philosophically linked directly to modern social safety nets. Comprehensive welfare programs designed to protect vulnerable populations in advanced modern economies.
Social safety nets. Okay, how so?
While the specific methods of implementation differ significantly, we now have complex taxation systems, government agencies, rather than direct property sharing.
Right, it's more bureaucratic now.
The underlying philosophical ethos is profoundly the same. That a just and compassionate society has a collective, non-negotiable responsibility to ensure the basic well-being, dignity, economic stability of all its members.
A collective responsibility.
Exactly. This includes vital initiatives like universal healthcare systems, unemployment benefits, affordable housing initiatives, food banks, comprehensive social support services. These programs aim to prevent individuals from falling through the cracks of economic hardship, ensure a baseline of support and opportunity.
Mirroring the Ansār's care.
Mirroring the comprehensive, empathetic care provided by the Ansār to the Muhājirun, albeit on a much larger, institutionalized, bureaucratic scale. The spirit of mutual aid endures.
And the Masjid Nabawi. Does that have modern parallels?
And finally, yes, the brilliant, multifunctional model of the Masjid Nabawi finds its compelling modern equivalents in integrated community hubs.
Community hubs, right.
Hubs that blend various essential services into a single, accessible location. You observe this in modern community centers that might simultaneously house a public library, a health clinic, adult education classes, social welfare services, even local administrative offices, all operating under one roof.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Similarly, many faith-based organizations today, regardless of denomination, serve as far more than just places of worship. They're indispensable centers for food banks, youth mentorship, counseling, interfaith dialogue, support groups.
Much more than just worship.
This powerfully demonstrates the enduring universal human need for centralized, holistic community support systems. Systems that efficiently address the spiritual, intellectual, social, administrative needs of a populace in an accessible, integrated, unifying way. It's about creating a true one-stop shop for collective well-being and civic engagement, echoing the genius of Madinah.
This truly shows us that the core challenges of building a just, unified, resilient society and the creative, empathetic, fundamentally human solutions needed to address them. They're absolutely timeless.
They really are.
History, in this profound case, isn't just about the past. It's a vibrant, illuminating mirror, reflecting our present struggles and an indispensable guide for navigating our future. What an incredible deep dive we've taken today into the very foundations of a model society, one that continues to inspire and instruct. Let's just quickly recap some of the truly profound insights we've unearthed from this remarkable historical journey.
Good idea.
We've seen how brotherhood, ukhuwwah, is not merely some noble ideal, but a tangible, powerful force. It literally transforms strangers into family, creating deep, unbreakable bonds and a pervasive sense of collective responsibility. Absolutely essential for any community's survival, flourishing, and enduring resilience.
Indeed. We also discovered that justice and radical inclusion, rather than narrow tribalism or exclusionary practices, are the non-negotiable bedrock foundations for any lasting, successful, truly harmonious society.
Non-negotiable.
The Constitution of Madinah stands as powerful historical proof that integrating faith and governance, coupled with visionary leadership, can lead to profound social harmony, stability, and the establishment of a genuinely pluralistic and just state. And ultimately, effective, wise leaders understand that their most enduring legacy, their true impact, lies not just in inspiring followers with temporary charisma,
Oh, but not enough.
but in meticulously building robust, adaptable institutions and sustainable systems that can carry forward the vision and values for generations to come.
As we wrap up this truly enlightening deep dive, we want to leave you, our valued listener, with some deeply thought-provoking questions to consider, inviting you to actively apply these powerful historical lessons to your own life and the communities you inhabit.
Yes, some takeaways to reflect on. First, I challenge you to reflect on this. Who is your Ansār today? That person or group who supports you unconditionally, shares resources, time, wisdom, without expecting anything tangible back.
Good question.
And perhaps even more importantly, who can you actively be an Ansār for? Offering that same profound level of deep support, true brotherhood, radical generosity to someone in need in your own life or sphere of influence. It's about actively seeking to be a source of strength and empathy for others.
Actively being the helper.
Second, imagine this. What would it look like to draft your own personal constitution?
A personal one.
Yeah. Take some focus time. Outline maybe 5 to 7 non-negotiable principles that will unequivocally guide your actions, your most important decisions, your daily interactions. How would clearly defining these core tenets help you live a more purposeful, consistent, ethically guided life? Much like the Constitution of Madinah provided a guiding framework for an entire society.
Defining your own core values.
Exactly. And finally, consider this. How might you actively support a vital community institution? Be it a local school nurturing young minds, a place of worship providing spiritual solace, a neighborhood welfare group aiding the vulnerable, a food bank feeding the hungry.
Those pillars of the community.
How can you support them with your precious time, your valuable resources, or your fervent advocacy? By intentionally investing in these foundational structures and systems, you embody the very spirit of collective responsibility, mutual support, civic engagement that made Madinah such an incredibly resilient and exemplary society.
Powerful thoughts for reflection and deeds, and truly actionable insights for all of us. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into building a model society, the Constitution of Madinah and Brotherhood.
Thank you.
We deeply encourage you to reflect on these powerful lessons and consider how they might inspire positive, transformative change in your own life and the communities around you. Until next time, keep diving deep.